Looks like we're on. I'd like to call to order this meeting of September 13th, 2017 of the Kenai Open Space Conservation Agency. Will you please join me in the salute to the flag? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May we have the roll call, please?
Bill De La Pena.
Present.
Director Fox. Absent. Director Gibson.
Present.
Director Jones.
Here.
Chair Skay.
Present. Just to start off, I'd like to introduce the new Deputy Director for Community Development here in the city of Thousand Oaks, Mr. Peter Gilley. Welcome aboard. Okay, and I don't have any public comment cards. If public does come in, we will certainly accommodate them when they do. Let's go to our presentations and announcements. Ms. Huber, you have reports?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, COSCA board members. Yes, I do have a brief PowerPoint. The Trails Advisory Committee continues to work on a variety of events. On June 4th, an introductory hike for geocaching was held in honor of National Trails Day. The 3-mile hike started at Triunfo Community Park, crossed parts of the adjacent South Ranch open space, and ended back at the park. 8 participants found a total of 12 geocaches altogether and all had a great time. Moving on to the second item, on September 30th, the members of COSTAC will again conduct an outreach event at the main Wildwood Trailhead for National Public Lands Day. And lastly, this year's Fall Trail Workday will be held on October 21st at Sapwi Trails Community Park, followed by COSCA's 40th anniversary celebration.
Very good. Why don't you go on to the Volunteer Corps?
Thank you. Okay, our Volunteer Corps program has accomplished a variety of activities since our last meeting. Here are a few details. We continue to hold trailhead outreach events, and during these events, visitors are asked to fill out a brief questionnaire. The data captured enables us to gain insight into use patterns, area of residence, and simple demographics. Most recently, our volunteers monitored the Hill Canyon Trailhead on June 24th from 8 to 11 a.m. Most surveyed visitors were hikers, with mountain bikers coming in second. And at this particular location, many visitors were from Camarillo and Oxnard, which was to be expected because it was Hill Canyon. However, one came away from as far away as Venice, near Santa Monica, as opposed to Venice, Italy. So staff has recently started mapping the collected zip codes, which has turned out to be very helpful in visualizing the distances that visitors travel to reach our open space. And I have a brief... You did that already? Okay. With regard to Trail Watch, Trail Patrol, and Trail Adoption programs, we logged the following from May through August. For Trail Watch, we had 136 reports submitted and 245 hours donated. And for Trail Patrol, we had 34 reports submitted and 168 hours donated. And for Adopt a Trail, we had 60 reports and 254 hours donated. Our trail adoption numbers remain consistent, with 51 volunteers having adopted 63 trails.
Excellent.
Very good.
Any questions of Ms. Huber by staff? Yes, Director Bill De La Pena.
Thank you for the presentation. I was just curious. I know you have your plates full already, but would it be possible for some other future meeting to show us a graph over the last 10 or 15 years in terms of the work, the volunteer hours, as well as the number of volunteers, so we could see what has been, whether there are any fluctuations?
Yes, we can certainly assemble that data and get that together for you.
Okay, great. Just for a historical perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Then let's go on to the consent calendar. This is the minutes of May 10. Do I have a motion?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Very good. No objections. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. Thank you. Action items. First one is the priority list update for potential acquisition areas for open space. Ms. Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I have a PowerPoint. As you'll remember, on May 10th, 2017, the board held a public workshop to consider updates to the priority list of areas for potential acquisition as open space. The list provides a framework for decisions related to open space acquisition. You'll remember that the original priority list was approved by the board in 1996, and the list was last updated in 2009. At the May meeting, the board supported staff's recommendation to make 2 additions to the priority list. The first was the expansion of Area G, also known as Conejo Ridge, and it added 3 parcels totaling 1 acre in size to the Conejo Ridge open space area. The second was creating a new area called Area X, also known as Sunset West, which is made up of 1 4.5 acre parcel. This is the updated priority area map, and it shows the 2 added areas. They're kind of hard to see from here, but you can see them in your packet as well. They're shown in yellow. Down here is the expanded Area G, or Conejo Ridge, and I'll show you zoomed in aerials of these areas. And then up here is Area X, also known as Sunset West. Here is an aerial view of the expanded Area G. This is existing open space here, and the expanded area is 1 small parcel and then portions of these 2 parcels. So as you can see, this area is south of the 101 freeway and west of Conejo School Road and Willow Lane. And this is a view looking west of the Conejo Ridge expanded area from Conejo School Road. This is the new area, Area X, also known as Sunset North. This is the Sunset Hills open space. Here's an aerial view of the property. And this property is located south of Moore Park Road. And this is a view from Moore Park Road looking up the hill at the property. So the final 2017 priority list contains 16 priority areas and trail crossing improvements and access areas. And it includes 15 areas from the 2009 version of the list. 1 existing area was expanded, as I mentioned, and 1 new area was added for the total of 16 areas. The priority list areas are sorted into 3 priority groups based on their open space resource value, the degree of protection expected through the development review process, and the likely acquisition cost. This map shows the final 2017 priority area map, excuse me, and shows the priority category for each of the areas. So the red is high priority, orange is medium priority, and yellow is low priority. So priority group 1 contains 6 different areas for a total of 802 acres and is made up of 142 parcels. Priority group 2 contains 5 areas for a total of 614 acres and is made up of 11 parcels. And priority group 3 contains 5 areas for a total of 71 acres and made up of 5 parcels. All 3 priority groups together consist of 1,487 acres made up of 158 parcels. So the priority list acts as a guide for potential open space acquisitions. And in order for any acquisition to occur, we must have a willing seller or donor. And if it's going to be a purchase, we have to have adequate funding sources. So for the top 2 priority areas, priority area 1 and 2, we estimate a very rough estimate of $70 million to acquire all of that property. And that's based on our most recent purchases and a value of $50,000 an acre. Now, larger parcels to purchase them generally will cost less than $50,000 an acre to purchase. So that, again, this is a rough estimate, and we would have to get a current appraisal for any property that we were going to acquire. So the primary source of funding for open space purchases in the city is the Open Space Endowment Fund, also known as CROSUF. The current fund balance in that account is $1.5 million. Other sources used on occasion to augment the Open Space Endowment Fund or for smaller purchases, oftentimes outside of the city limits, include the COSCA Trust Fund, which has about $1.3 million in it right now. Grants from the state and other agencies, and development agreement funds, including Chappelle and Dos Vientos. But the funding in those funds, the money in those funds is pretty low, $200,000 or less. So that's not the best source. As mentioned, the list provides a framework for open space acquisition efforts throughout Conejo Valley and assists the City Council and the COSCA Board in evaluating whether proposed open space purchases merit the allocation of funds. And other areas may be considered for acquisition as opportunities arise. So areas that are not on the list can be considered if we have a willing seller and they are of high value as open space. Staff recommends that the board approve the revised priority list of areas for potential acquisition as open space, and I'm available for questions.
Do we have questions for Ms. Mason? Claudia.
Thank you. Area G, which is right there on Glow Lane on the at the corner, that curve that's there, I believe that area had been thought to be used as part of our master bicycle plan with a route through that area. If we were to purchase it as open space, would we still be able to connect?
That area was considered as a route for a paved bike path probably 10 years ago, and it was determined that the topography out there is too kind of severe to actually build a bike path through there, unfortunately. So it would be more of probably just a dirt trail that would follow topography.
And it's privately held, obviously, right now. Do we know if it's part of the Spectrum Club there, or is it completely separately owned by someone else?
Yes, so up on the screen there, this portion is part of the Bay Club property here.
Bay Club.
And then I think this is a separate owner, and then this is a separate owner. So we have three separate private owners here. And we would consider purchasing trail easements as well. We don't necessarily have to buy the actual property. And again, we would only be interested in buying portions of these two properties here or trail easement. And we have not approached any of the owners yet.
That area is also used as a dumping ground of sorts.
Right.
Trash, furniture, all that, homeless camps. Are the owners at all concerned with that?
I haven't actually heard any owner concerns in that specific area about those issues.
All right. Thank you. Any other questions? If not, do we have, what's the board's pleasure? Do we have a motion to approve the priority list update?
I'll make a motion. We move staff recommendation.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition, abstention? Very good, thank you. So we will now go on to the update items, information items. I do have a speaker card for item 7 on Wildwood, but Shelley, would you give us the update, and then I'll call for our speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. COSCA, CRPD, City, and Thousand Oaks Police Department staff have taken a number of actions in response to concerns from residents near the Wildwood Trailhead at the west end of Avenida de los Arboles. And I'd just like to go over a few of the things that we've done out there. We hired a security company to open and close the gates at designated times, initially opening the gates at 6 a.m. and closing them at 7 p.m. We heard from the residents out there that 6 a.m. was too early, so this week we started a trial period of opening the gates at 7 a.m. now. So we'll see how that goes. In response to complaints about the dust generated from the parking lot, an environmentally friendly dust suppression compound was applied on July 6th, and the amount of dust has been reduced significantly. We've heard from a number of residents out there. We installed signs informing the public regarding park hours and when the gates close, the locations of other nearby parking lots so that people can use other parking lots when the parking lot is full and not park on the residential streets out there. And then we also put up signs discouraging people from parking on the residential streets. We updated the Wildwood Trail map to show other nearby parking lots and again discourage people from parking on the residential streets because we heard a lot of complaints about the trail users parking on the streets. Thousand Oaks Police Department has increased the patrols of that area to 2 times a day and have really vocally encouraged residents to call them if there are any problems or if they have any concerns out there. So TOPD is very available and ready to help. They also installed signs for people to lock their vehicles and to keep their valuables with them because we had a few incidents out there of burglaries. And then COSCA and city staff met in Hill Canyon to discuss the installation of the second bridge down there. And that bridge would provide access across the Arroyo Conejo and into Wildwood. And this bridge actually was identified in the Conejo Canyons Management Plan, you might remember, as a way to keep people off of Hill Canyon Road and to get them back into Wildwood instead of having them walk up Hill Canyon Road. So this bridge kind of fulfills multiple purposes. And so for that bridge, we're now in the planning stages to make that project happen. And the Rangers are currently scouting temporary locations for some smaller kind of blowaway bridges down there that we can maybe install if we find any good locations in the meantime while we're in the planning and construction phases for the second bridge. And the city's Public Works Department is moving forward with the median improvements on Avenida de los Arboles and Big Sky, and they're hoping to begin construction in early November on that project. And as part of that effort, they're going to install signage directing people to the trailhead along Arboles on the east side of Frontier Avenue and east of Big Sky Drive in order to keep people off of Bright Star Street, which is an interesting problem. Basically, the map apps on people's phones are directing them down Bright Star, which is adjacent to Arboles. So it's basically taking people down this more residential street to get to the trailhead. So the improvements should hopefully fix that problem. And the CRPD outdoor unit is moving as many outdoor unit programs as possible away from Wildwood Park, and those changes will be reflected in the winter program guide. And in terms of social media and publicity and outreach, COSCA is promoting trails outside of Wildwood and has removed references to Wildwood on our Facebook page. We've also worked with the Chamber of Commerce and other organizations to limit Wildwood coverage. And our volunteers who are out on patrol and doing outreach are encouraging people to use other trails and other open space areas. And we did not include any Wildwood trails in the 2017 Conejo Open Space Challenge. And I'm available for questions.
Thank you. We also, before we go to questions, we have 2 speaker cards on this item. Bonnie Clarfeld Island, would you come up to the podium, please?
Good evening, everyone. Want to introduce myself as a Wildwood neighbor. I live on Frontier Avenue, which is adjacent to Bright Star Ave. I am so lucky to live 2/10 of a mile from Indian Creek Trail, which is probably another 3/10 of a mile from the main parking lot. I'm here because I first of all want to thank COSCA and CRPD and the TO Police. They are really trying hard and listening to everyone. The problem is, who do they listen to? There's been a lot of exaggerated facts that have been going out there. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, so to speak. There's been a handful of people, I feel, as a neighbor, that's been very outspoken, and I think there's a silent majority. I love having Wildwood there, and personally, I think it's great people are going there rather than the mall. I do want to say someone's been pointing fingers and saying Wildwood parking lot was poorly planned. First of all, it was planned, 30+ years ago, the late 1960s. I personally think it's brilliant. There's many trailheads to Wildwood that are inside the neighborhood that you are on the residential streets. Avenida de los Arboles is like a parkway. There are no houses facing that street. And it's not just Wildwood Regional Park that you get to. You get to Wildflower Park, and you get the playfields, and you get to the fort and the school. And yeah, there's people who speed on that road, but I'm going to bet you a lot of them are my neighbors, not just the park visitors. That being said, I still believe that the main lot at Wildwood is the safest way for visitors to get into the park. It is fairly user-friendly. It's not very steep, although you still have to deal with the hill. We all know Paradise Falls is the jewel of Wildwood, and that is why people go there. They go all over Wildwood when the flowers are in bloom. They go there when the water is gushing. We all had an incident this winter, unfortunately, or fortunately, our drought broke. We got unprecedented rains, and people ignored the close signs, and they went down to the waterfalls, and they took videos, and those videos went viral. And COSCA and CRPD are dealing with something no one could have predicted when Wildwood was created, and that's social media. And you guys can try, and I understand you might be changing the address to Wildwood. I kind of hope that doesn't happen, because Wildwood is Wildwood Mesa. It's not Hill Canyon. I go to Hill Canyon all the time to go to Hill Canyon. Sometimes I'll make a big loop from my house. But Wildwood Mesa is special. And even if you change the address, I don't know how you're going to stop social media from putting people at the end of Arboles. There's even one neighbor who wants to see the parking lot go away completely. That's ridiculous. I do think perhaps you could do a little bit of a better job by promoting the inner parking lot. I don't know if you're able to chip seal the road, maybe have a pedestrian trail next to it to get more of the cars into the parking area rather than on the streets. And maybe if, and I know this isn't going to go over well with all my neighbors, but if the Bright Star people are affected one way or the other because it's their view shed, how about considering Avenida de los Arboles as a parking area on weeknights only and weekends? I think my time just ran up. Was that the beat?
A little bit more. 5 seconds.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I pretty much said what I needed to say. I don't like the sandwich boards, by the way. I feel like they have no meat. If you're going to put a sign up, it should be enforceable. Or the sign should say, please be courteous if you park in the neighborhood, but we'd rather you park in one of the other lots. Those other lots are full. You guys, they serve the wildflower playfields. So on weekends, the soccer teams and the baseball teams are in those parking spaces. So they're not available when they need to be. And that being said, I just want to thank everyone for doing great work. And the Rangers, you're very short-staffed, and I think they're great. I called them for graffiti that was next to the waterfall above it. They were out there that week. They had to use ropes. They cleaned it, and it worked. There's been no more graffiti happening on those rocks. There had been 3 panels that happened just because one panel hadn't been removed. So thank you for doing a terrific job.
Thank you very much, Bonnie. Appreciate your comments. We have Mark Leachok, if I pronounce that correctly. Leachok.
Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Leachok. I live in the Wildwood section of Thousand Oaks also. First of all, I just really wanted to say that, this whole process actually started back in February, whenever the waterfall issues started popping up with the traffic and all. And through the last several months, we've been working, several neighbors have been working with COSCA, with CRPD, with the traffic department, spanning to Public Works now. And I just want to say thank you, because we did come up with a list of action items, and most of them have pretty much already been met. And the whole idea, once again, it's not to eliminate people from Wildwood, it's not to shut them off. But everybody does know that the trailhead at the end of Arboles has increased in traffic. Both the Parks and Rec, COSCA, and the neighborhood realizes that it's been overwhelmed, both from the neighborhood as well as the environment within the park, the animals and everything else. So the idea is that COSCA has like 16,000 acres in the city. And Wildwood is itself like 1,500, but right next to that is Conejo Canyons, another 1,500. That's 3,000 acres right there. Problem is, it's all being accessed really from the one parking lot. So that's where the idea of the Hill Canyon entrance comes in, is especially for people that do use social media, that they are wanting to go to the waterfall. That is the primary source. And it turns out that the Hill Canyon entrance, it has bathroom facilities, it has larger parking, it does have a more direct route, And I'm really glad to hear that they're working on the bridge, both the temporary ones and the permanent ones. Thank you both for everybody there for that. And then long-term also work on the entrance off of Rancho Caneo to give the people from Newberry Park another access trail into the park, and one's from coming off the 101. It is a little self-serving to the neighborhood, I agree. But at the same time, I think it is a benefit to both the neighborhood, the environment, to the city as a whole, and that to look out after this crown jewel and let people know that there are another 13,000 acres out there waiting to be explored. And so take off some of the pressure off of the local Wildwood Park, share it with everybody, all the other, the 16,000 acres total, and enjoy the city. One thing I do want to mention, I did notice that there was a school bus from Wainimi School District on Monday there at Wildwood. Once again, if the Hill Canyon entrance was more suitable at this point as a valid trail to the waterfall and all, that school bus, not trying to eliminate kids from going to Wildwood, because trust me, I am so for school kids doing that and not being in front of a computer. They have too much too much virtual reality, not enough real reality. So, but if that was more valid, they would be able to just go down Santa Rosa and probably would have saved a good 45 minutes round trip than coming all the way up the grade around to Wildwood back. The facilities are better. It would just be better off for the kids too. So that's just ones coming from the northern part of the county. Just an FYI. But once again, thank you all for really pitching in. We've made a lot of progress. Still a bit more to go. And, fall's coming up. People are going to be going back, and it's cooling off. So people are going to be going back into the park. Holidays are coming up. They're going to be vacationing, and this is where the start of the season is. So, and then right after that comes the rain. So hopefully we've learned from the last season, and we're ready to hit the new season head on.
Okay,
so,
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you.
Lichop.
I do have a quick question.
If you wait, Ms. Claudia Bilda-Pena has a question.
I've never had a question.
I'm just curious.
Yes.
Are the shuttles from the Four Seasons Hotel still showing up there?
No, they are not.
Okay.
No, haven't seen too many shuttles really lately. During the summer, because it gets so hot, not too much is going on. And it was interesting. Whenever the rains were there, that's whenever the shuttles were showing up, mainly for the waterfalls. And then right after that was the wildflowers. As soon as that 1 week showed up that the wildflowers went from vibrant green to brown, it kind of dropped. And so from that point on, it's been pretty quiet in that sense.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very comprehensive update, and I really want to applaud all the staffs from the agencies for really taking this on and trying to address all those concerns. And really, you have a great action plan, and you've accomplished so much already. And just when Director Jones will remember that Wildwood Mesa, just for everyone, was actually approved for over 300 houses. There was a specific plan or approval for, so that was the alternative to actually having open space on the Mesa.
Well, there was as I understand it, there was a deal made with North Ranch.
Yes, that was how it became.
In which there was an exchange. I think Jim maybe knows more about it than I think Alex Fiore was very much involved in that.
And Tex, right.
And so that was transferred over there, and I think it was a good plan. I'm glad that it worked out that way because Wildwood is good. And I would just like to echo what you said because of Mark and others that brought this matter to our attention, and Shelley and all of you involved. I think this is really a great response that has been made, and I hope it does solve the problem because there was a big problem. Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Other board members? Yes, Director Bilda-Pena.
I did want to commend CRPD as well as COSCA staff. This was one of the bigger controversies that CRPD and COSCA have had to deal with, and CRPD as well as COSCA don't have the staff that the city does have. And to have been able to manage this, to keep it under control, and to work with the neighbors in what I still consider a short period of time. I know it's been months, but nonetheless, shows how dedicated, how much of a dedicated professionals they are. And it really speaks, and it's a testament to the fact that Thousand Oaks is a great city because we do have great staff and responsive staff. So I just wanted to say thank you, Jim Friedel and Shelley and Matt, and everybody else who was involved. Thank you.
Right, if no other comments, let's go on to the 40th anniversary celebration. Another milestone.
Yes, very exciting. On page 17 of the packet is the flyer for COSCA's 40th anniversary celebration. It will take place on October 21st at Sapwe Park after our annual Trail Workday event. So we're hoping people will participate in Trail Workday and then come for the party afterwards. And we'll have a nice barbecue lunch and desserts and some presentations. And CRPD's groundbreaking for Sapwe Park will also take place that day. So it's going to be a very eventful, fun day. So please save the date, and we're looking forward to celebrating with all of you and with the public. Thank you.
Fantastic. The RasNow update, Shelley, if you would.
Okay, I just have a very brief update on the RasNow project. The donation agreement is in negotiations, and we're moving forward with that. The survey and contract for the 18 partial parcels has been executed, and work is in progress on those surveys being written up so that property can be transferred. The title reports have been received, and we are on track to transfer the property in December, which is our goal. So happy to report that.
Very good. No questions? All right. The Ms. Huber, the new COSCA website.
Thank you. And I have a brief PowerPoint. We've redesigned the COSCA website to make it more contemporary in feel and more responsive to smaller screen sizes. And here are just a few screenshots of some of the main pages. There we go. Okay. And we can just kind of click through those. Okay, any questions?
Okay, we do have a speaker card. Mr. Leachok.
Mark Leachok, citizen of, or resident of Thousand Oaks again. I apparently like to talk. Just some advice or questions about the website. One thing that I've encountered as a resident and hiking in the Wildwood Park all the time is anytime you go hiking, guaranteed someone will ask you, where's the waterfall? If there was a way that you had a map that you could bring up on your cell phone as an app, because more people are looking forward to their cell phones, bring up apps for hike speak, for different hiking apps themselves. They're linking to whatever, to the various websites. If there was if I could say this correctly, because I'm not all that familiar with it myself, but if there is a social media person that actually knows about the ins and outs, about the algorithms, about the linkages between websites and how to piggyback off of other websites, that might be beneficial to look into. With the apps, since most people are looking at the cell phone and not really looking at the internet as much, they still are, but if you could get that so that the internet website is able to fit onto the cell phone app fairly decently, maps of the parks would be good. Also, COSCA really needs to do a better job of marketing itself. It's a very important part of the city, but anytime you talk to anybody about COSCA, that's either one of two things. You either get the first a blank expression like, who's that? Or, oh yeah, I go shopping there all the time. And it's like, no, it's not that company. So within the city, definitely piggyback more on CRPD's catalog, the seasonal catalog. It was a little unfortunate that some of the trails were not spread out amongst other parks at this time, but we're looking forward to the winter one. But that is a means to get the word out that, hey, COSCA is actually pretty important in the overall scheme of things. Because, I mean, I just came from Westlake and Agora and Calabasas, and they don't have as much space around our residents as much as we do here. And we're very fortunate to have that. And the people here should know that, and that they need to take care of it. So just a little bit of advice there. Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And our 40th anniversary celebration is at least one slice of trying to make people in the Thousand Oaks area understand how big.
Maybe we had a higher mark.
There you go. Yes. Were there any questions or comments from staff? Yes, Director Gibson.
I would just like to echo what Mark had just said, and I appreciate the update to the website. But more and more people aren't using their computers or using their smartphone devices, so we need to be sure that we have a mobile app version of the website that will work. Otherwise, people just aren't going to use it, and I would encourage that.
Okay.
And I would just note that the website was designed to actually work on a mobile device too, so it shrinks to fit on a mobile device. Thanks.
Very good. Thank you. Lake Eleanor Dam. We have a letter from Department of Water Resources.
We do. Okay. So on page 21 of your packet is a memo pertaining to the Lake Eleanor Dam. CRPD was contacted in July by the Department of Water Resources and advised that the dam has been placed in a high hazard classification. So when this occurs, the property owner needs to complete an emergency action plan, including an inundation map. To calculate the potential inundation area, we need to have current information about the lake's or the dam's actual capacity. So to accomplish that, staff will coordinate with Public Works to identify a potential consultant to perform a bathymetric survey and then also to prepare the accompanying action plan.
Thank you very much. I expect it's mostly sediment by this time, but the nice.
We anticipate that it will be too. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
If you don't mind, I just want to elaborate on the high hazard classification, just because I don't want anyone to be concerned about the dam's structural safety. The high hazard classification actually has nothing to do with the dam itself. The dam's actually from 1881, I believe.
Yep. Banning Dam.
Banning Dam, and
the first or highest or
radial arch poured
span,
concrete span dam. So it's actually a historical monument. It actually, the high hazard classification simply has to do with the population below the dam. So if you look on the Division of Dam Safety's website, you'll see that many, many, many dams throughout the state are in that category. And it really has to do with downstream more than anything else. And we'll be looking at, providing the requisite report and stuff for the state. So that's what that's all about.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's hear about open space related conferences.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to let everybody know what we're up to at the end of October. And staff will be attending 2 open space related conferences. The first is the California Invasive Plant Council Symposium. It's going to be in Palm Springs. Invasive plants are an ongoing threat to the native plant communities in our open space and throughout the state. The information presented at this conference helps us stay up to date on best practices for invasive plant management techniques that can be implemented in our open space to improve habitat quality and further enable good stewardship of our biological resources. And we've seen a big increase in non-native plants and invasive plants. So this is a big problem in the open space. So we're trying to get a handle on it and manage it appropriately so that we can keep healthy habitat in the open space. The second conference is a National Land Conservation Conference sponsored by the Land Trust Alliance, and staff will attend workshops and seminars regarding natural land management, volunteer engagement, public outreach, and risk management, among other topics. And this conference is a great opportunity to glean knowledge from national leaders in the field of land conservation. Please let me know if you're interested in more information about these conferences or if you have any interest in attending.
What are the dates again?
I can get back to you, but they're basically the last week in October. One of them is sort of the beginning of that week, and one of them is at the end.
Coming up soon.
Coming up soon, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Kuba, how about Ranger Operations and Maintenance Report?
Thank you very much. Have a PowerPoint that we'll be running through. I've kind of shifted gears in what I'm going to present to you over the next couple months from just kind of what we've accomplished in the last couple months, but more in depth into what the Rangers actually do on a day-to-day basis and there's a lot of words there. We're not going to read them, but the Rangers do an opening procedure, facility checks every single day. They usually have project work each and every day, except for weekends. That's almost exclusively patrol. They do patrol by truck, bike, or foot. They do some interpretation, homeless, and equipment maintenance. Two of the biggest projects that the Rangers work on are weed abatement and the V-ditch cleaning throughout the city. It takes a lot to do the trail work that we do. They also interact with our user groups, supporting the trail education days, trail work days, etc., public calls, and they do some law enforcement and closing procedures. So the next couple meetings, we're going to get a little bit more in depth into some of those things and what actually takes to do something like trail work. But I am going to work on some other statistics, and one of the statistics I wanted to talk about is just the amount of rescues and work that the Rangers have been doing with the sheriff over the past 4 months. There's been over 15 rescues with fires or searches that the Rangers have been involved with, working with Ventura County Sheriff in support roles. The Rangers were first on the scene for 14 incidents this summer that required assistance from Ventura County, and those included injured hikers, rescues, a suicide, missing persons, overheated dogs, vehicle accidents that the Rangers discovered. And then I don't have statistics on what the Rangers actually handle on their own, meaning they find somebody that's overheated on the trail, they give them support without calling Ventura County. A couple recent examples. This was in July. A vehicle went over the edge illegally off-roading in Hill Canyon. There were 2 people injured. The Rangers had to spend the whole next day involved with the vehicle recovery and cleanup. We're actually hired a crew to come in, I believe tomorrow, to go and finish cleaning up that hillside with the trash and debris that was distributed by that vehicle. So something like this takes a lot of time for the Rangers. Last week, an autistic individual who's an avid hiker of Santa Rosa Trail was missing. The Rangers were told about it, and sheriff at the same time. The Rangers were able to cover 28 miles of Conejo Canyons, Santa Rosa Trail, and Wildwood using bikes, foot, and walking in 4.5 hours. So they very quickly were able to get through and see almost the entire area and report back to the sheriff where the person was not. And he was found around noon that day. Due to the size of our open space, and this is me being proud of the Rangers, they really have to make some tough decisions about what they can do in an actual day. So if a fire is going and something else needs to be put to the side, that's what they need to do. And I trust them to do that, and they do a really, really good job of making decisions. And they keep me up to date of what's going on constantly. And there they all are, bright and shiny, clean uniforms a week or so ago. But Bruce just texted me a photo, and I managed to get it in here. This is up Lang Ranch Parkway, and a very, very large oak tree fell last night and blocked the fire road there. Today's our big day with both shifts of the Rangers being together, so they went out and cleared the fire road, so the fire road is passable. And so we call it Big Project Wednesday when we're able to have everybody on for at least a couple hours overlap. So I was really proud of that. I always end the slideshows with a sunset, but just had to put the eclipse instead. I'm available for questions if need be.
Excellent. Any questions of Mr. Kuba? Good job, as always. Fantastic. Any board member comments? Hearing none. A very expeditious meeting. We are adjourned to Wednesday, November 8th. Thank you all.